Hey everyone! Welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here, welcome! I am going to do a book review, but only of the Colleen Hoover books I've read. My first book that got me back into reading was a Colleen Hoover book, and I have read 13 so far, so I decided to do a little review. I don't have all of the ones I've read anymore, but I do have still a good chunk of them. And I do have a list of all the ones I've read. So I'm going to go from the list and then we'll go here. So the first book I read back in 2022 that got me back into reading was Finding Perfect. It is such a small book, which is really great if you want to get back into reading. My friend wanted to get back into reading and I had her read that first, and now she reads all the time. It's a beautiful little love story and it's just short and sweet, right to the point. I would give that one a 4 out of 5. This next one I've heard a lot of controversy on. Ugly Love. I've heard a lot of people don't like it, but I loved it. That was my second Colleen Hoover book ever, and I just have to say, like, it was everything. The storyline, okay, maybe it's just toxicity, but like seriously, the relationship between Miles and Tate, it just shows how like trauma can really like scare you in relationships. But then like once they got out of it, I mean, it obviously ended well, as it should. That one is a 5 out of 5 for me. The next one is November 9th. This one I did not love as much as, say, Ugly Love. I mean, the twists and turns, they were there with Fallon and Ben. However, it was like shocking, but it's like not like a book that I recommend out of all of her books to anyone. It's not like I'm like, yeah, go read that, you know? Alright, so I would probably give that one a 3.5 out of 5. Okay, next is It Starts With Us and It Ends With Us. We're gonna ignore the movie and just focus on the book. I loved It Ends With Us. I thought, like, obviously it touched on violence and abuse, and it just is a great story that obviously the movie didn't quite touch on, but I really loved how there was the journal entries and it went back and forth from her childhood to now, and how much Atlas meant to her and how they were able to reconnect and find their way back to each other in some way. Then It Starts With Us, obviously we get the ending we wanted. We get to see her and Atlas's relationship now develop as adults, and I'm really hoping we see more of that if It Starts With Us becomes a movie. So I would probably give both of these a 5 out of 5 just because they are together. I would say It Starts With Us probably more of a 4, but together they're 5 out of 5. I gave those ones away, so I don't have the copies anymore, which I kind of wish I did. I have All Your Perfects. This one specifically is about two people who met the same night that their partners cheated on them, and then they just obviously run into marital drama. But I really did enjoy like the differences, and it kept me on edge. So I'd probably give it a 4.5 out of 5. This one. Verity. 5 out of 5. If I could rate it more, I would. Like, this book, the twists and turns it takes are insane. Like, I don't want to spoil it, but like at the end, who did what? Who did what? Like, I don't really get it. And apparently there was like a secret extra chapter that I didn't have, but my friend had a hardcover and had an additional chapter. I'm like, did I not get that? Or I was just really confused. Like, not the epilogue. Oh, maybe it is this letter. But she had read it to us, and I was like, I missed that. Because it was like them running into someone else that they knew from back home. Who did what? 5 out of frickin' 5. Oh, yeah, I couldn't recommend that one enough, though. Next, we have Regretting You. I actually really did love this one, and obviously it has, you know, not controlling, but like overbearing. I don't even know the right word, but, you know, protective. There we go. Protective mother, and does not want her daughter to make the same mistakes. I'm sure some of us see some of those patterns in our relationships. And I think that just goes for everyone. You want to keep friends, family, and whoever else away from the same mistakes you've made. I know I definitely give advice to try to help people not make the mistakes I've made. But I mean, everyone has to learn on their own, right? And then comes with consequences, tragic events. But It was really, really good. It's one of those other ones that go in between characters. Probably a 4.2 out of 5. Then we have Reminders of Him. I really did love this one because it was more of like forbidden love. But you know you can't help what you feel. And obviously it has that they shouldn't be together, but then they're good together. It's just like this one is probably a 4.8 out of 5. One I don't have anymore is Too Late. This one took me a while to read. Not because it wasn't good, but because it came at a very hard time in my life that I started reading it, and it was like honestly making me like I could relate to it too much, and so it was really hard to get through at first. Once I was able to get through it, it was really good. You didn't know if the abuse was going to stop or if they were going to end up together, if it was going to be a happy ending. Then it was like thriller almost. Who's going to survive? Who's going to die? What's going to happen? You have all those questions racing through your head. It just makes you want to finish it. So it was like a really good book. It's probably another one I would recommend, but obviously I would highly recommend Ugly Love and Verity, and then It Ends With Us over everything. But Too Late would be right behind it. That one is probably a 4.8 out of 5 as well. The last 2 books we have are Without Merit, which was super good. I think I finished this one in like a day or 2. Like obviously I could finish it in a day if I was like going through it. But super, super good. Probably would give this one a 5 out of 5. Then, I literally just finished this one yesterday. Finished it in like a day total. Never Never. I've seen a lot of controversy on this one too. And the whole time I was like, why? It's so good. Like I wanted to know what happened to them and why they were experiencing what they were experiencing. So I had to keep reading. Like I got finished with it. Breaks down into 3 parts. I got done with part 1 and I was like, wait, what just happened? Are they okay? And then I read part 2, which then left me on another cliffhanger because they were getting clues to what was happening, and I was like, I gotta finish it. And then of course, the epilogue ruined it. It like started, it was like happily ever after, and then it goes, it's happening again. What do you mean? Why? How? So I had to reread the last part again to try to make sense of it. And I still couldn't. I was like, what? Like, I just don't understand what happened. So for that reason, I'd have to give it a 3.5 out of 5. Otherwise, it was amazing. They did really good. So it also is Colleen Hoover and Taryn Fisher. But those are the 13 books I've read so far by Colleen Hoover, and I do plan to read more. By far, one of my favorite authors, and I am so thankful she got me back into reading. Last year I read 12 books, and this year I just finished my 24th book, which was Never Never. So I'm very, very thankful for Colleen Hoover. Thanks for watching!